It's a balmy summer evening at the SeaWorld Marine Park just outside Cleveland, Ohio. Along with live marine animals, the park's big attraction is a show based on the Baywatch television series. 4,000 people watch as a speedboat heads straight for the grandstand. As the audience waits for it to veer away, the 18-foot-long craft bears down on them at over 30 miles per hour. There's no way of knowing that something has gone terribly wrong. For a split second, people think the crash is part of the show. Then shock turns to horror.
I remember thinking it's going to stop, but it didn't.
Fema Neely, her husband Frank, and their 2 young children are in the front row that day.
My daughter really wanted to sit close because she wanted to get splashed. I happened to notice a gap in the front row, and we went down and squeezed in the front.
But their vantage point turns out to be a dangerous choice. The 1-ton boat flies 60 feet out of the water, scraping Fema's head with a glancing blow, then crashes into the packed stands behind her.
For a second, I really thought we were going to die, and then when I realized that we didn't, it's like, oh my gosh, let's get out of here, because if something was going to happen with that boat exploding, I didn't want to be under it.
As emergency workers arrive, Fema tries to comfort her screaming children. She's too caught up in the chaos to notice her own injury.
I did not actually realize my head hurt until probably about 4 minutes afterwards. I had an adrenaline rush, you know, it was get out, stay alive, and get my kids, get my family.
Frank Neely rushes to help victims trapped underneath the boat.
People started yelling and screaming, and it was just a mass of people just running around and just trying to get out of there, and other people were trying to help, and I guess natural reaction is go to help someone. So that's what I did.
1 man is in critical condition with head wounds, and 22 others, including 9 children, are injured. But miraculously, no one is killed, and Fema and her family escape with only minor cuts and bruises. An investigation begins almost immediately. A team of marine experts is led by Jim Gorman.
When I first arrived on scene, the audience had already left the amphitheater area, and we were very surprised that the injuries weren't more serious.
They first analyze how this high-speed stunt is supposed to work. What the audience doesn't know is that the stunt requires not 1, but 2 drivers. A stuntman pretends to pilot the boat from the deck, while a ghost driver hidden in the hull is actually steering.
The stunt driver is standing up above the controls, acting like he's steering the boat. And this stunt driver would fall out of the boat. At that point, the ghost driver would continue operating the boat as he had all along, and then a rescue would take place by the Baywatch staff of the show to jump on board and stop the boat.
But the boat doesn't respond to the hidden steering wheel.
At this point, there's no steering control. The boat is careening toward shore, and it's just a split second away from beginning its impact to the shoreline.
The boat uses a jet glide that shoots water through a narrow nozzle to propel it. The nozzle moves to steer the vessel. An inspection reveals that the nozzle had broken free, severing the steering mechanism.
This entire unit here is supposed to be turned and attached onto the jet nozzle. When this unit separated and was held only by this cable, the operator lost all steering control.
But Gorman still doesn't know why. His main suspects are a crucial metal pin and a tiny screw that should hold the steering unit in place. Both parts are missing, and Gorman wants to know if they were torn out during the crash or failed beforehand.
We went back down to the grandstands. We raked to the beach. We spent hours looking for that horizontal shaft pin or the set screw to determine, when did this fall out.
The parts are nowhere to be found, so Gorman begins tracing the boat's history. The previous owner supplies a photograph taken just before he sold the boat to World Entertainment, the company SeaWorld hired to stage the Baywatch performance. Though the jet drive can be seen in the picture, it's impossible to tell if the parts are in place or not. So the photograph is rushed to a nearby NASA imaging laboratory where it's digitally enlarged many hundreds of times. The enhanced image shows that the vital pin was missing before the boat came to SeaWorld.
It placed a great deal of torque and pressure on the one pin that was still in place, and eventually it sheared away.
Thankfully, all the victims of the accident recovered from their injuries. But for Feynman Neely, her lucky escape has had a lasting effect.
I play it over and over in my mind. I don't even know why I do. Sometimes I just lay down in bed and I start to think about it, and I can't stop.
Gorman attributes the accident to poor maintenance, and World Entertainment is held responsible. SeaWorld no longer hosts the Baywatch stunt show at its parks. And hopefully, Jim Gorman's successful investigation will reduce the risk of another freak accident, turning a spectacular stunt into a terrifying disaster.